If you criticize Modi, you're anti-national. I don't think there's any Modi effect. If anything, it's anti-incumbency after 10 years. Bengaluru North is where the action is, right? This is the new Bengaluru. You can be a street fighter, but for what causes? When it comes to being compassionate and empathetic about people's problems and difficulties, the only answer is Congress.
First of all, thank you for spending time from your busy schedule to talk to us.
Good to be here, Deepika.
So since 1999, the Congress hasn't been able to win a Lok Sabha seat in Bengaluru. Why do you think that is, and what is going to change this time?
Well, the BJP has picked up in Karnataka, but as you saw in the last assembly election, the anger against the BJP's non-performance, their misdirected priorities, if you ask the BJP leaders what are their priorities for Karnataka, where they would say hijab, halal, things like that, and 40% commission. Those were their priorities. So people have not forgotten their misgovernance and their attempts to divide our otherwise peaceful state. So they were ejected from power, forcefully in 2023 during the assembly elections. We're going to see the same thing happen now. 25 BJP MPs, not one of them raises their voice in support of Karnataka's concerns, in support of Karnataka's legitimate, justifiable demands for various kinds of allocations from the center. Who needs these kinds of dummies? Essentially, basically, the people of Karnataka are now very convinced that when it comes to delivering on promises, when it comes to representing the people and their interests, our state's interests, when it comes to being compassionate and empathetic about people's problems and difficulties, the only answer is Congress. And that's why you're going to see this time, whatever the past history may be, for Bengaluru, for Karnataka, you're going to see that all being erased, and you're going to see a huge wave in favor of the Congress party.
Right. Is there any specific strategy in fielding new faces in Bengaluru specifically this time?
Well, I've already been an MP, Savia's already been an MLA, but one of the things that we've been talking to people about, and there's tremendous positive response, we are projecting ourselves as Team Bengaluru, right? Soumya Reddy is an activist and an effective ex-MLA. You have Mansoor Ali Khan in Central, who is an educationist. I've been a professor and an RBI director and a member of parliament, and then add DK Suresh. He's not new, but he's one of the most effective on the ground, member of parliament that you could ask for. So this team, we're basically projecting Team Bengaluru and saying to the people of this city that our city needs representatives who can bring in resources from the center. Right. We probably need, for Bengaluru, a very large special grant. This is one of the most productive cities in the world, and we need to make sure that our people can be productive and can have a good quality of life. If it means, getting more resources from Delhi, I think the 3-4 of us will be in a position to come together and bring in the grants. And then people like me are very, very concerned about how our city is developing. I want to make sure that development, happens in a more planned manner. That the planning paradigm changes from urban sprawl to something more like 15-minute cities. That we pay attention to green and blue, to our nature, to our water resources. That we eliminate issues of concern like water crises, like urban air pollution, by changing the way we live, changing the way we travel, etc. If you've ever thought about it, the only time people think about government is when they have a problem, when there's a pothole, when the water is not coming, when the current goes, those sorts of things. If all of those are smooth, why would you even bother? We want to create that kind of a situation where you lead your life and everything that you would expect the government to give you, we would have given you, right, in such a manner that you can proceed to enjoy yourself and have a good time with your family.
Right. So, staying with that thought, do you think that Congress's victory in the 2023 state assembly elections will actually move the winds in favor of the Congress in the Lok Sabha elections in Karnataka at least?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, the key thing, Deepika, is that in these 10 months, what are our major achievements? right? One of our major achievements is the implementation of our 5 guarantees. And what are these 5 guarantees? Why did we need to give them, right? I mean, initially the Prime Minister called them freebies, and now he's, you know, copycat, right? He's basically saying he's going to offer his own guarantees, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, now in those 10 years of Modi Sarkar, people are suffering from price rise. The price of petrol has doubled, the price of gas cylinders has doubled, and people's income has not doubled, right? So they're going to have to make do with much less. We feel their pain. Similarly, there's been a tremendous amount of unemployment. Instead of creating jobs, you've seen job destruction, job losses, right? So in this set of circumstances, we needed to step up and do something to take care of our people. So that's why we brought in the Annabhagya, 5 kgs of rice per person, the Graha Lakshmi, 2,000 rupee per month allowance for women head of households, the free bus travel, the free electricity, and the subsidy for unemployed graduates and diploma holders. These address those larger macroeconomic issues. See, we may be the fastest growing economy, but we also are feeding 83 crore people. We're giving them free food every day. The majority of Indians, receive free food. Why? Because there's tremendous inequality. Not all of us have benefited from the growth opportunities. And similarly, we've put in place this safety net, right? We're taking care of people in their time of distress. And as a result, wherever I go on the ground, there's just so much affection, gratitude. People, I even interviewed a few of our beneficiaries, as you might call them, and they were, the government has come to us like an elder brother. They're giving us that strength to be able to cope with difficulty, things like that. And so it's been, so that is going to be the foundation of the Congress Party's sweep of Karnataka. The fact that in 10 months, we've addressed their pain, we've delivered on our promises, while they have not given us anything more than slogans and bhashans and things like that.
Right. Coming to the constituency that you're contesting from, Bengaluru North, highest number of voters in Karnataka. It's also seen unprecedented growth. What are your priorities if elected as an MP from Bengaluru North?
Well, I partly mentioned them. So the idea is to, Bengaluru North is where the action is, right? This is the new Bengaluru. And so it's important for us to develop these regions in a manner that is, as I said, sustainable, inclusive, and, is something that nurtures prosperity and creativity and, overall health and happiness. Okay. So one of the things that I would like to do is put in place, a different planning paradigm. When it comes to transport, right? Traffic is a huge challenge. Hebal flyover is our gateway into Bangalore. It's choked, right? So we need to find ways to, add more lanes there, etc. But I would rather go much further, right? So, I've been agitating for suburban rail since 2008. And now with K-Ride, it is something that's becoming a reality soon enough. You have the Metro Line 3A, coming in from Nagwara and taking a turn onto the airport road. You have a big bus depot there. So, and there's so much space there as well. We need to turn that into a multimodal transit hub, right? So that people can actually, get there and then find a way to go to different destinations, in a very, very simple, straightforward manner. If you can start thinking, 30 years down the road, right, rather than trying to do band-aid repairs, okay, then you can, nobody wants to battle traffic and, worry about road rage and things like that. Everyone would love to go in a air-conditioned bus or a metro or something like that. And I think the day is not far off when more people will take public transport. I've been very much a proponent of that. We are working with civil society on something called the personal to public, right? And we launched the metro feeder buses.
Yes.
I could say I launched it. I was the sort of driving force behind that, and now that's become successful. Not rocket science. First mile, last mile connectivity. It's happening across the city. So when you start thinking along those lines, you start to see that, these interventions will make life in North Bengaluru better. The develop planning approach, the transport approach, but there's also the environment approach that you need to look at.
Moving on to the contest itself, you are pitted against primarily the BJP's Shobha Karandlaje. There's been opposition from within the BJP to her candidature. So there are two aspects to this question. One is, do you think that's going to impact her chances in winning the seat? And secondly, the Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has expressed confidence that you will win the seat. Why do you think he's got such confidence?
Well, he has that confidence partly because his government has delivered,
Yeah.
and we've taken care of the poor. The second thing is, he apparently has some opinion survey which suggests that I'm going to win,
Okay.
which, that's the sense I get from being on the ground. Shobha Kam, we were in parliament together. She seems to have got a lot of opposition from within her party in Bengaluru North. She had even more opposition in Udupi Chikmagalur.
Yeah.
And they had these go back Shobha slogans and all that raised by her own party people.
Yes.
So this sort of thing is not very helpful for, to generate the momentum for a victory. But beyond that, people ask, right? People say, she's a tough street fighter and you're the academic and all that sort of thing. Well, the fact of the matter is, you can be a street fighter, but for what causes? What is she known for? For trying to rake up communal tension, trying to divide people and light flames and, basically polarize, right? And that's not what the people of Bengaluru want, or Karnataka, or India for that matter. Then, are you aware that she has a 44 crore money laundering case against her, filed by the Enforcement Directorate, that she's a minister in the Modi government, fighting her own government in court on that particular case? It's there in her affidavit. So people are saying this is a person who was chased out of her old seat after 10 years for non-delivery. This is a person who has these grave corruption charges against her. Her track record is of trying to incite communal tension. Do we need that sort of a person for Bengaluru? In contrast, the Congress seems to have given a candidate with a vision, a track record, ability to unite and heal, and to take everyone along in a much more inclusive, positive way. So I think that is the sentiment I'm getting on the ground. People are happy that there's a contrast. That's the sort of situation.
Staying on the topic, some of your supporters call you the Karnataka Shashi Tharoor. How does that impact your image? Because
I don't know I really don't know what that means. Because if it means that this is a person who can win Lok Sabha elections, I'm happy to have that
Right.
title. I think that's one part of it, right? The other is, I don't know, you should tell me. See, Shashi is an extraordinarily productive and hardworking guy.
Yeah.
He's writes a book a year. He's giving 1,000 speeches a year. He seems to charm everybody. Is that the angle? I don't think I have that kind of effect at all. If I do, please let me know. That's in any case. No. I think basically what happens is, we have some similarities in our backgrounds. We've grown up here, gone abroad, studied at some of the best institutions. We are very much at home in global circles. But I don't know about him, but I'm just a local boy. I grew up, playing cricket on the fields of Malleshwaram. I grew up, double riding on bicycles and getting caught by the cops. I don't think even your generation knows what that means. Who's riding bicycles these days? When I finished my high school, the first thing we did was go to typewriter class. Okay, that's how simple life was. Things have changed since then. And I used to take a bus to school. A public bus, that sort of thing. So these are all, and some people say, you guys are elite. And I'm like, no, nobody is looking.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, because there's a general accusation against the Congress, not all candidates, but people like you, academics, or someone who comes from privilege. There are accusations that there's a disconnect between what's on the ground and...
Yeah, I was just telling you that I had a very middle-class life growing up. And whatever privilege comes from the institutions that I've been associated with. The Wharton School where I got my PhD, the IIM Bangalore where I taught for many years, was a director of the Reserve Bank of India.
Right. And final question, Professor Gowda. If elected as an MP, like you mentioned, you
No,
won't
no,
just be...
it's when elected.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
You won't be representing just Bengaluru North, like you mentioned. It's going to be Bengaluru as a whole and also as Karnataka. What issues would you take up first on priority if that happens?
well, the central government has been very unjust and unfair to Karnataka. They have not given us the Finance Commission's recommendations. They haven't given us drought relief funds. They haven't given us what the Upper Bhadra project funds allotted and announced in the budget. They haven't, variety of these sorts of. I mean, we need more of our tax revenues to come back to us because this is one of the most productive cities, right? So, fighting against the injustice. I can tell you, we're going to come to office in Delhi, but whether it's my government or if I'm in opposition, I'll continue this fight for Karnataka's interests. Second, we will fight to raise more resources and special grants for Bengaluru city. We'll fight to make sure that the whole approach to planning, whether it's transportation or water or planning or waste management, all of these things that we put people together and get to work towards solutions, right? So those, I noticed in my 6 years in the Rajya Sabha that a term in Parliament goes like this. Okay, we got to hit the ground running and do a lot. And I'm also going to be someone who will immediately open up, sort of different channels of communication so that I can get inputs. Okay, I might have a PhD in public policy and management, I might be an economist, but I don't have all the answers. I don't know all the questions. So I need to get inputs from well-meaning people. I need to, I'm happy to listen to their concerns, address their, their problems, and try and see how we can work together. As I said, it's not only the government; it's also about everyone else. It's like everyone demands Kaveri water. How much water is ultimately there in the Kaveri, right? So there's so much else that we as citizens need to do.
Right. And before I end, the interview will be incomplete if I don't ask you about the Modi effect. Does it exist? Doesn't it? This election.
If you've spotted it, it's one of these things like the Yeti in the Himalayas or the Loch Ness monster or something like that. Okay, basically, if you spot it, you should let me know. I'd love to see it because I have not spotted it anywhere. What you see actually is the opposite. People are disappointed. No one wants to say it openly because everyone actually is in fear. Okay, strange as it may sound, everyone is like, oh my God, is it okay to say something like this? And that's the atmosphere that's been created in this country, where if you criticize Modi, you're anti-national or something like that. But people do see that, that the delivery has not matched the rhetoric. That when he talks about 370, 400, that it really is betraying nervousness because they're not even going to get 200 seats, right? They're going to lose in many, many, many states, starting with Karnataka, which the Congress is going to sweep. So I don't think there's any Modi effect. If anything, it's anti-incumbency after 10 years.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Gowda, and all the best for the contest on April 26th.
Thank you, Deepika.
Thank you.